guys, it's Ashley, and today I'll be doing a quick, easy walkthrough tutorial on my Wanderlust watercolour world map. All you really need is just a normal pencil, watercolour paints, a paintbrush and a gold pen if you decide to do the font as well, but don't worry because I'll leave that all down below in the description with the brands I used as well and talk about them more throughout the video. So here I'm just using a normal HB pencil that I found to do the world map layout. With the world map layout, you can just go on Google Images and search world map or world map layout and you should be able to find a good reference. Whichever you're happy with, they're all basically the same anyways. But you can use this as a guideline, or if you're not that confident with drawing, even though it might be good practice, you can probably trace it, but as you can see I freehand drew it. But I'll leave a link in the description of the one that I used. As this is a watercolour painting, we don't really need to be perfect with the outline, as it's most likely going to end up messy, and I kind of like the messy style that you can do with watercolour paints, but it's entirely up to you. I guess I'm kind of an imperfect perfectionist, so that's why I did try to get it relatively neat, but if it's not perfect, which mine definitely is not, do not worry about it at all. Here I'm just using a Faber Castell kneadable eraser to make the outline lighter and remove some of the graphite, as with watercolour paints and most other mediums, graphite tends to move and can cause a mucky sort of look, so it's best to erase it and make it a bit more lighter. This is the first time using one. It's a bit like blue tack, however, after using it I do think I prefer using a normal eraser, so don't worry about it if you don't have one. I'm using a WIndsor Newton watercolour paints, which I actually really like, even though they can be a bit pricey, but they're really pigmented, so the colour comes out nice, and they're just really good quality. So if you can afford it, I do suggest these ones. With that said, any brand will probably do the job, but I just like these the best. I bought them in a set, and they usually do go on sale for $40, which is half price quite often. So I think they are that at the moment, but I'll leave a link in the description of where I bought them. So with this, I started going over the outline as it gives it a somewhat neatness, and so in the end it will look relatively accurate, and I did this with a small round brush that just came in the set with my watercolour paints. After that, I just used a size 7 round brush from another set. You can use whatever brand you want. I just used a Jasart one. I found this size allows you to put more colour on and it spreads it and create that messy look where the opacity, I guess, just changes in the painting. On some bits are lighter and some bits are darker. It's just spread out and I just like that look. So I did a dark blue first, making it really dark in the corner and lighter towards the centre, and then did a red on top of that to create a gradient in the centre with a purple. I then moved on to North America with a yellow and using the same brush, size 7 brush, but changing to a smaller one to do the orange gradient from the red to the yellow so that I could outline as well, and it just gave a nicer look, I guess. With the brush, I moved it back and forth in a somewhat circular motion to mix the colours, and if I wanted lighter, I just use a redder brush, and if I wanted more pigmented, I dry the brush a bit, get rid of the colour, and then just dip it in the water a little bit, and then add more colour from the palette. So when I'm changing colour, I tend to put one colour on till about the middle of where it is and wherever I want the colour change to occur, and then I go from the other side with another colour and work my way back to the middle using a circular motion with the brush. I somewhat mix the colours with a wet brush and then create that gradient there. I also use a red brush with a colour to create that spilled look that I also sometimes have when going in between colours. So from the yellow, I've gone to a green, to an emerald green, and then a blue in Africa and a darker green between Europe and Asia using this same technique. I am now using the smaller WIndsor Newton brush with a red and outlining from the bottom right hand corner and moving back to the centre. I have left the actual names from the palette in the description below, but I'm just saying general colours for those not using the same palette, and if you do decide to recreate this piece you can definitely change up the colour. I've played around a bit with the lightness of the colour by using a redder brush so it's more dilute, and by using the larger size 7 brush. Now I'm just going back over with the blue over Africa and Asia and Europe as it has dried and to help create a better gradient between the colours. And again, I'm playing between how dark and light I add the blue in some parts, as well as having a messy spilled look, and also by adding more green, purple and red and bringing these colours together with quite a red brush that is also heavily pigmented. And I'm also just going over the colours where I want to darken a knot with this piece. You can play around a lot with it, and it doesn't need to be neat, and you can do whatever you want and just make it your own, really. Also, I just wanted to make a point of how this is just the way I draw and use watercolour paints, and it's just the way that seems easiest to me and works out best for me. So there's definitely no right or wrong way, but this is just how I did it, so hopefully it helps in some way. So at the end, I'm just going over and adding a bit more colour in some bits that I think I needed, and just adding the finishing touches before I go on to the Wanderlust font. So with the font, I'm just using a general style of calligraphy that I sometimes use. You can use something like mine or go on a font site like defont.com and find a style that you like and do something similar to that. I have done a rough outlining of what I want it to look like before using a gold marker so I don't mess it up, and then using a normal eraser and lightening the font so I can just see it. Then using a metallic gold Sharpie, I just filled in the Wanderlust font. I think the key with this font, if you do decide to do your own handwriting, is the thickness. So when I'm going in between letters and the thicker parts, as in sort of the longish rectangular parts that each letter seems to have, it's a bit thinner. So that's the end of the tutorial. I hope you enjoyed and it was helpful. Please be sure to give a thumbs up and subscribe to see more videos. Also, you can follow me on Instagram at AshleySad0 for all my other artworks. Thanks, and I'll see you next time.